We had so much fun mocking the cowboy of TikTok. I'm going to continue to mock TikTok, and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun for me. Hopefully, it's going to be fun for you. Let's get into it. Hi, I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Like, subscribe, watch more of the videos. There'll be a link at the end of the video to more of my videos. I have lots of them. So enjoy, mock, mean comment, don't mean comment, do whatever you wish. But anyways, on our last episode of 10 Minutes with Nick, we made fun of I'm just going to say cowboy creator. I'm generously calling him a cowboy creator because it just felt like one of those accounts that wants people to think they're a cowboy. Like they saw Yellowstone and they were like, that would be so cool to be in Yellowstone. Even though Yellowstone is a mafia show taking place in Wyoming. It's not really a cowboy show. How about you learn to read? How about you learn to watch things critically and with an artistic eye? Anyways, that's neither here nor there. On a more serious topic than me mocking the gentleman who, dared to put himself out there and dared to actually create content and dared to, go about selling his tequila seltzer brand. Yeah, I did the research. I know what he was selling. It's tequila seltzer. I knew he was selling something, and it was tequila seltzer. I'm mocking him again. I tried to be nice, and I'm just mocking him again. I can't help myself. I have a problem. Anyways, on a more serious note, as I was doing research on social media, aka scrolling too many videos, I started to realize something, especially on the For You page of TikTok. Some of the most popular videos on Instagram, YouTube, X, whatever. Some of the most popular videos are videos showing kind of like the worst of the worst of us, of humanity. And it covers a broad range of spectrums. So don't think I'm talking about just any one particular race, religion, creed, whatever. It covers everybody. And one of the things that's the most popular are public recordings of proceedings inside of a divorce court. I'm guilty of watching these things. They're addictive, but there's a big problem with these things being so popular. If you see inside the proceedings of a divorce, I don't know that you would ever get married. If you see what can happen in the worst case scenario, I don't know that you would get married. Now, the worst case scenario is not a particularly often scenario. The statistics on divorce are what they are, but that's sort of a broad brush. The truth of court cases is that 99% of court cases or 98% of court cases, something like that, settle out of court. The same is true for divorce cases. There's usually some kind of affable settlement that's come to. And when I say affable, I don't mean that the parties like each other at the end. I just mean that the parties agree on what to do in the scenario. These videos show the absolute worst of the worst cases. And I just don't know if you watched a bunch of these videos, if you would ever get married. Why is that such a problem? Well, because the number one consumer of social media are young people ages 13 to 25. And I'm saying 13 because you have to be 13 to have a TikTok account. But of course, any 12-year-old can figure out how to lie that they're 13. I'm not going to tell them how to, but most of them can figure it out. So realistically, if a kid has a data plan and the ability to download apps, they're likely on TikTok or Instagram or whatever. And these videos are pumped into feeds as part of, the algorithm trying to figure out what you like. And frankly, I think the algorithm just assumes we all love these videos and just assumes that we want to see these train wreck videos because frankly, they're very popular. They get hundreds of thousands of likes. They get comments, thousands of comments, whatever. It's less of a problem for adults who, maybe just adults, they're wonky, they're weird, but it's hard to really mold the mind of an adult fundamentally. It's been molded. It's done. It's cooked. It's fully cooked. It's, the dish is done. At 25 years old, your brain is pretty much as developed as it's going to be developed. A 13-year-old brain is not. So can you imagine a 13-year-old brain watching videos like that? What would dating look like for a 13-year-old if their mind was entirely melded by videos of the worst fed to them on a 30-second cycle designed to create a dopamine kick? I'm not a psychologist. I don't know the answer to that. I don't have the studies. I don't have the scientific backing to do the study, and I don't certainly have the inclination to do the study because, frankly, I think I know the answer, and the answer would disturb me. It's why we say, it's why there's maybe a wise, not a wise movement, but there's wisdom in limiting the screen time for young people, because it's not because we don't want kids to see entertainment. It's because that stuff gets in. You can be the best parent on the planet, and you cannot prevent that stuff from getting in front of your child. You can't. Unless there's no access to the internet on a device, you can't prevent access to that stuff. And frankly, you get to an age where you're around other kids, and at least one kid is going to have access to that stuff, and that's going to be more than enough to share the information. It worries me. And this, believe it or not, is sort of covered in what we're doing here because this is kind of dating topic. The culture of dating is going to change. And then you also see these other videos, like the freaking Whatever podcast. I'm not going to say I hate the guys on the Whatever podcast. All right? They occasionally are on the right track. Occasionally. But in most cases, they're just picking on young women. Now, granted, the young women aren't exactly acquitting themselves well. Again, they're setting up a scenario in which you have kind of the lowest common denominator, not women in general. The lowest common denominator here being young women who have heard the siren song of making money on OnlyFans and have foregone all sorts of education and everything else in order to be porn stars, for lack of a better word. No, not for lack of a better word. They are porn stars. And they set up these pseudo-intellectual debates. Andrew Wilson's a frequent guest, and he sets up these pseudo-intellectual debates with these porn stars. Great, he beats them into the ground. So what? He really just beats them over the head just by kind of yelling at them. But if you're a 13-year-old watching that, and that's what you're learning women are like. There's another guy, too, who runs around with a microphone, and he just asks young women sort of seemingly innocuous questions about their dating life and their sex life or whatever. And the videos that get selectively chosen and uploaded are the ones that are the most salacious, usually. Sometimes, every once in a while, he throws in like a quote-unquote protect this girl at all costs option. But usually it's like the girls who are like, he has to make $200,000 a year for me to even look in his way. And then if he's not thick to the foot, I'm not going to look at him. Guys, young men, don't get your dating advice from the internet. I said that last podcast with Cowboy Jack, and I'm saying it now. Cowboy Jack is trying to sell you tequila seltzer. Most of these quick clip internet videos that make you go, wow, humanity is terrible, they're designed to do that. It's forcing it into your brain to try and get you to think that humanity is terrible. Humanity's not terrible. We're not great, but we're not terrible. And we're not in a bad spot. If you look at data on fertility rates and you say, wow, the fertility rate is falling, and you think, like, wow, how do we solve that? Well, we solve that by stopping watching these stupid videos that make us think marriage is awful, that make us think that women or men are stupid, that make us think Muslims are the worst people on the planet, that make us think Christians are the worst people on the planet, that make us think Jewish people are the worst people on the planet. Like, guys, this is not how you live a good life. I'm guilty of watching these videos too. The only difference is I am 34 years old and I have the discernment to say, I know this is meant for pure entertainment. That doesn't make it good that I watch these videos. I understand that. But you and I both have to recognize that what I talked about last time with Cowboy Jack and his tequila seltzer, whatever, that was a funny little, like, okay, dude, like, get off your high horse and let's talk about some reality here. What I'm talking about today is actually dangerous. It actually stands to mold the minds of the future generations coming up behind us in a harmful way for society. It's not good. We can't have this anymore. We've got to stop this. And I don't know how we stop this, but I'm just flagging the issue. This is a 10-minute podcast. I can't solve every issue. I can't solve any issues. I mostly just ramble about issues. That's the whole shtick. It's 10 minutes of Nick. I ramble, I talk, I listen, I go, and now I'm out of time. So I go now. Now I wrap up. Anyways, if you liked what I said, we had a guy comment last time, called me a chill dude. I appreciated that. I appreciate you for subscribing. Love it. I'd love to do something with this podcast and grow it and make it into something wonderful. As it stands right now, it's a 10-minute ramble. I enjoy it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe if you did. If you didn't, leave a mean comment. You know the drill. I can take the mean comments. You know how it is. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick.